All right, so this is our last series of the afternoon, and PixelKnight versus ViperMusashi. Game one on Belshire Prestige Ladder Edition. Let's get this going. And again, a
Two
TVZ
two silver players. That
and a
answers that question.
partridge in a pear tree.
That's right. So we answer that question before we even get started. These are two silver players, and spawning up here on the top left-hand side of Belshire Vestige, we have our blue Zerg player, Viper Musashi.
And on the bottom right, PixelKnight, who is a very well-known member of the Day 9 community. You probably all recognize this guy's name. He's all over the place. GLHF from both of these players, and yeah,
I
so
need 1 second. My dog needs to run outside. I'm sorry I couldn't do this earlier.
go ahead, man. Hey, I offered you a break like less than 5 minutes ago, man.
I know I can't control him. He's killing esports as per usual.
Yeah, I've gotten used to it at this point. Anyway, so
So they're
so he,
making workers. Yay!
yeah, general, beginning of the game stuff. So yeah, pretty good supply depot timing out of there from PixelKnight. And actually, did we see an extractor trick? Yeah, we did. We saw an extractor trick from ViperMusashi. Um, anyway, TVZ is one of my. It's not my favorite matchup, but I'm pretty good at it, and so I have some things that I prefer to do, and one of them, as you all probably know, is the factory opening. Though I'm really interested to see how Pixel Knight decides to go about this. If he's going to go ahead and grab a gas and maybe open up with factory or open up with reapers, there's all sorts of things you can do that can lead into a macro game, which is where I'm more comfortable. Since I don't know, cheesing Zerg is pretty hard as turn. I feel like I'm not very good at it unless you're going mass reaper, because I mean reapers are pretty damn good in Heart of the Swarm, as everybody knows. We'll see if his worker scout gets caught there. Nope, he's just gonna dance around. I don't think he should be rallying it into the mineral line. That's just asking for it to get surrounded. So we'll see if that actually happens this time around. And no, he's gonna get right through him right again. That's fine. And Viper Musashi just going for the typical, hatch first and then into a pool. We also don't see any gas out of PixelKnight, so that leads me to believe this. Excuse me, this is just going to be a barracks expand, and that Marine is probably going to start picking away at that Overlord there. Nice, nice. And PixelKnight still has that SCV alive in Viper Musashi's base, so he knows what's going on thus far. He knows there's no gas. He's getting a spawning pool and a little bit later, so that's, he's got an expansion there, and also dropping down a third expansion. So I think that's a safe call. He saw that his opponent was going for a quick command center as opposed to a factory, which gets some widow mines out earlier, or something to that extent. And also, because of that, realized that he's probably going to be safe for a little while, so went ahead and grabbed that third base. And I think that was a good call. His gas is just now finishing up, so he's just going to drone up for a little while now. You're back, huh?
I am back.
Nice. How was it?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Good to hear.
He kept it short.
Thank you. Thank your dog for me. And we also see the second gas going down for PixelKnight as well, as two more barracks. So no factory just yet. He's got that gas going, the initial gas, and no reapers in production. That leads me to believe he's probably going to drop down either a tech lab or a factory once he hits 100 gas. Nothing just yet. That's all right. We'll see something eventually. As I mentioned before, Woodhouse, you weren't here. Viper Musashi reacted to his opponent's quick expansion by dropping down a third base of his own. Initially, he went for hatch pool.
I do notice that. It does look like he's just content to drone up at this point. No military units actually in production.
And as I was saying before, I think that's a really good call because when your opponent saves up for that command center early on and doesn't get upgrades like stim pack or combat shield, you're probably going to be safe for a little while. And so, we do see that tech lab just now finishing up on that barracks. So his stim pack and combat shield aren't going to be done for a little while, and that factory is just about done as well. And so I'd be interested to see if he goes for Hellions or Widow Mines, or maybe even tanks. All could be very viable options against Zerg, though they're definitely not so much required, but they're definitely standard to go with. And it looks like he's actually going for a reactor and started a starport right away. That leads me to believe he's going to, just take that right off and put the starport on there for double medevac production. And it looks like, yeah, he is aware of his opponent's third base right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see him kind of getting ready to move out across the map.
Yeah.
And then he decides to pull back. I wonder if he's now waiting for another round of units before he does this, or maybe even waiting for medevac support.
Very possibly, though, when your opponent has, actually, he's actually not mining this gas at the natural just yet. Though when you're on 3 bases, he's not exactly harvesting off of this third one, but he can make a decent amount of lings, especially when he's got metabolic boost on the way here and this overlord spread. He will be able to see this coming, and I think he will be ready for it. And actually, PixelKnight going ahead and dropping his third base of his own, I kind of like that. That's keeping him up to par with his Zerg opponent, and as we all know, the Zerg likes to be 1 base ahead.
And realistically, they need to be just to keep up with production and income of the other 2 races.
And actually, I was wrong earlier. I did not nail it. He did not switch that factory off of that reactor, just keeping the reactor itself and building a new one on the starport. So that leads me to believe, yeah, he's making Widow Mines. And I think that's a good call as well, because Widow Mines are so good at dealing with Mutiling Bling, which seems like a pretty standard way for Zerg to deal with Terran units. But regardless, I don't know. We're not seeing any real indication of what's going on here. He's just got a pool right now. He hasn't made a Baneling Nest, hasn't made a Spire.
He does have the Roach Warren out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, does he?
But
okay.
We do see level 1 missile attacks being made, yet no roaches in production, just lings at this point.
So leads me to believe he might be going for Roach Hydra, which is almost like the same composition as Marine Medevac Marauder, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it'll at that point be a battle of upgrades. But anyway, his opponent has no idea that he's got this third base down here, and he is actually, is he doing no, he's not. He's not doing an SCV transfer just yet.
Planetary or orbital? That is the real question. Planetary?
Dude, definitely planetary. Planetary all the way.
Okay.
Come on.
The other question is,
I
mean, logically, why would you put a PF here instead of an orbital? Like, what's your thinking on that?
The only reason I would actually put a planetary here, I was just kind of trolling you there. He actually is making an orbital command. But if my opponent was aware of this third base, I would definitely probably turn it into a planetary. If I knew that they scouted it, and they'd probably be trying to deny it at any point. But
I wasn't worried you were trolling because you've been doing this to me the entire time. I was just curious, like, if there would actually.
I'm sorry,
but if there would be a moment where that would be applicable.
And by the way, do you see like all these barracks in production right now? Wow,
I do.
He's like he's definitely going for the big bio push here. Marine, Medevac, Marauder, Mine. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I think planetaries they're not only good for defense, but they're also really good at frustrating your opponent because it's a good deterrent as well. Because when they see that, they'll be like, oh shit, I don't want to engage that. And yeah, you sacrifice mules, but sometimes it's worth saving your base. And we'll see, there's a push coming out here right now. These mines are not burrowed. This could be really bad here.
This could be really bad.
Oh man, they're just gonna get caught. They're not burrowed.
Yep.
Now they're burrowed. Okay. What? They're gonna get a lot of team kills. Yeah. All Marines and Marauders just getting blown apart by those mines. That was
a really good play by Viper.
It was, and he just used those mines against his opponent. See, a planetary would have worked there, man.
Well, I don't know if you could have
That's-
saved the
okay.
planetary there.
I don't know. You can't lift it off, so I mean, you
That's
couldn't
right.
hold this, but I don't know, man. But yeah, those mines. I mean, you definitely have to be aware of your mine positioning because they will damage your own units, and especially with the low amount of hit points that Marines have, you can lose a lot of shit really fast.
There we go. He's baiting some of the mine hits now onto those Zerglings.
And he's just got even more mines joining the fray here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this is game, man.
I do too. This is a large amount of units just continuing to barrel down the front. But man, there's PixelKnight.
There's GG for PixelKnight. So ViperMusashi taking this game and the series for a 1-0 lead. Now, let's check out game 2 now. Honestly, I think what we need to see from PixelKnight is a little bit more scouting because he really didn't do much of any.
I agree. Just more information on your opponent, and especially that case would have
He
been.
really had no idea that push was coming until it was on his doorstep, and he burrowed his mines way too late. Ideally you would have those way out in front of your bio ball so that they get their shots off before the Lynx have even made it to your bio ball, and you're not risking blowing up your own units at that point.
Which is what happened. I mean, we saw that.
Yeah, and I think I honestly that not only was that his mines hitting his own units what kind of did him in there. I don't think he could have survived that either way. That was a lot of roaches. And just not enough bio units there. And to answer Tythor, yeah, we started at 4 o'clock EST, man. I'm sorry. We just finished your series, dude. I apologize. There will be VODs, though. I'm really sorry. PixelKnight was here for a little bit. He was actually watching from the airport or something. But anyway, we're on Whirlwind Ladder Edition, and on the top left, we have the Red Zerg ViperMusashi.
And his opponent spawning down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map. We do have PixelKnight spawning as the blue Terran pieces.
Nice. And, from what we saw there of PixelKnight, I don't know, lots of barracks. It's just, bio doesn't seem, straight up bio, with some mines, doesn't seem to be that effective if you can't properly use your mines,
Yeah.
And I think,
I think that actually just came more so from just a lack of maybe paying attention. I wasn't looking at where his camera was, but it may have just been a matter of he was looking somewhere else and forgot to burrow them.
It really could have just been a mistake. Just a slip up, something that was not intended. Maybe he thought he had them burrowed, but we'll see what he decides to do this time around. Opting not to actually block his ramp, which could lead to some opportunity for ViperMusashi if he sees that. But he is going to be able to scout out his opponent eventually.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about not blocking off your ramp, especially against Zerg.
It's pretty much staple to do against Zerg just to prevent a bunch of links flowing into your base, which, it's just like, when you leave your supply depot down, that pretty much spells doom for you if there's a bunch of lings on their way. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but
well, and that's kind of what I'm kind of pointing to, is it's nice to have that extra security of having that wall off in.
It's like he's actually gonna wall with supply depots, maybe, or build a second barracks there.
Okay. Second barracks. So I was gonna say, like, if he would have went supply depot, what would that have been indicative of?
Honestly, I really don't know. He could. I mean, if he had double gas at that point, it would be pretty indicative of teching up for a Banshee cheese or something like that. But really, I don't really know why you would block off your ramp with anything but a barracks, since you need a barracks to pretty much do anything. So might as well block off with it.
Yeah, and we do see actually a triple hatch opening coming out of Viper.
Yeah, I mean, he did that last time. It seems like he's pretty comfortable with that. He didn't really scout that his opponent didn't take a base, or, like last game, he saw that he did take a base, and so realized that third base, third hatchery would be pretty well defended. However, I really don't know what he's up to right now. Okay, he's actually putting down a third barracks, no Vespine geyser, or no refinery, that is.
Are we just
So-
going to see a big Marine push out of this?
Yeah, and it looked, if you remember from Monday, it seemed like he was actually gearing up to do something like that as well.
Yeah.
But he ended up quitting before he actually went and did it. But yeah, he just had Marines rallied up there. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a SCV come along with these and build some bunkers. That'd be pretty cool to see. Though, I mean, it is a tad late for a bunker rush, though. So he does go ahead and drop that expansion there. I'm not really sure. And if he doesn't use these Marines, then building those barracks earlier on wasn't exactly the best course of action. I think he could be pretty annoying with these Marines, since his opponent doesn't have any Lings out and no Overlords to see these Marines coming. It looks like, yeah, they're going to head out across the map.
Yeah, I mean, they know where each other are at now. So, I mean, it's basically, what are you going to do to stop this?
Yeah, I mean, there are no Zerglings out right now. There are no Queens at this third base. So I think, is he actually going to pull back and attack the third? Yep, he's going to go ahead and do that.
I was wondering whether he was just going to run by it or actually take it.
Yeah, and I think this is a good decision by him to start working away at this third base here. There are no Lynx production just yet, and even more Marines on the way, so I think he's going to lose this third base here. He's got spines built at the second, so he's just accepting that loss there. Not really going to try to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And just more Marines being produced, just flooding across the map. He did decide to go ahead and get that refinery. He's working on that. Got a second base, of course. Now he's busy microing his Marines at this point.
Although I don't know how I feel about not just immediately going up to the natural. I mean, I understand he's waiting for reinforcements, but at the same time, there are 14 Lings in production.
Yeah, so if he had gone there immediately, I mean, even though the spines were done, these Lings weren't anywhere close to being done, so he could have done a little bit of damage there. But, I don't know if it really would have been effective either way. And now that he scans that and he sees the amount of Lings and he sees the Baneling next, he's got to get out of there.
Yeah.
Especially without Combat Shield or Stim Pack, and neither one being researched right now.
And actually, look back down at his base. We have 3 more barracks in production, or close to in production.
I don't know, man. I don't think this is a good call. He saw that Baneling nest, but he's continuing to build bio units or place down more barracks to make even more Marines when, as we both know, Banelings are the hard counter to Marines. And, yeah, well, these Lings are going to look around for these Marines. Yeah, I honestly think, what if he just ran those Lings right into his natural?
Yeah, I mean, like, at this point, there's nothing down here to stop him. Yeah, there's 2 Marines here, but what are 2 Marines going to do against a swarm of Lings?
Yeah, and it looks like that might be, the speed has been researched, and they're just going to flood right down there to the natural. And he did raise that supply depot. He knows that's coming. But now he's going to flood his Marines right into his opponent's natural. There are spine crawlers here, but there are no Zerglings. They're actually, okay, there's 28 in production, so they're going to be ready here pretty soon here. And,
yep, there they are.
Start eating away at these Marines, and this push is going to completely fail.
That
Meanwhile,
push died. And
there's his GG
with
for
the
PixelKnight
GG.
as he sees these Banelings being morphed at his ramp there. So ViperMusashi at a 2-0 lead right now. We're going to head on to game 3
Yeah.
on Yansu ladder edition.
Ooh, I do like Yansu.
Yeah, we haven't seen this one either yet. All right. We already saw our only Protoss player, and it was random. So he was, or she, it was Fane, and she wasn't actually a main Protoss, I don't think. She got Protoss through a random matchup. But anyway, let's get on to game 3 between PixelKnight and ViperMusashi on Yansu Ladder Edition. Not even going to ask if you guys want some breaks, because this is our last game tonight, and I'm hoping it's a good one.
Don't say that. You just spoiled the series.
Oh, did I?
You did.
I'm sorry.
All the nice.
I fucking hate myself sometimes. It's just
all
slipped,
the nice
man.
things we can't
That's okay.
have
Shh.
because-
No, it didn't happen, okay? Nobody listened to what he just said. And what's going on here? He's SCV rushing.
Are you serious?
He's SCV rushing.
Oh my god.
So I think we
We have a Naniwa Pro Brush.
I can confidently say that this is the last game of the series now because of what we're seeing right here. They didn't even mine. He didn't leave anything back to mine. He's SCV rushing. Oh, man. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Well, we do know that SCVs are tougher than drones, man. They have more hit points. They can repair each other, even though he has no minerals. So I guess that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that won't matter. We're
But
gonna see micro wars.
so we have 10 drones versus 7 SCVs. What is going to happen?
Probably not very good for the Terran player, would be my guess, Cotton.
Oh no!
Oh, uh-oh.
Oh, this is fantastic.
This is wonderful. Nani
Some of these drones aren't able to fight right now, but one SCV is down. 2 SCVs die. 3, 4. Oh, there's a GG.